Welcome back to the YouTube channel for the New England Player. I am your host and founder, Matthew Andrews. So in this video, we are delighted to bring you another interview here on the New England Players YouTube channel. And in this video, we sit down and have a wonderful conversation with the Maine amateur competitor, Eli Spaulding. Eli is one of the state of Maine's most accomplished amateur players in recent history, with back-to-back wins at both the Maine Amateur Championship in 2024 and 2025, and he recently capped off another consecutive victory at the New England Amateur Championship this year in 2026, which was held at the Great Horse Golf Course in Massachusetts. So we talk about his incredible victory out at Great Horse this year. We talk about his history in Maine amateur competitive golf, and then we also dive into his performance and appearance this year at the United States Amateur Championship, which was held at Marion Golf Club. So as always, we hope you enjoyed the conversation, and as always, please be sure to give this video a like. Please comment below on what you thought of the video, and as always, please be sure to subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss any of our content like this coming forward from here. All right, thank you very much, and let's get into the conversation with Eli. All right, Eli. Well, thank you so much for being willing to join me today on the New England Players YouTube channel. I'm really excited to be able to chat with you. I think number one, just because you've been having such an awesome season, really looking forward to kind of breaking that down today with you. And also, you're my first guest from Maine, so really excited to be able to chat some Maine golf with you today as well. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt. I'm excited to talk with you today, and yeah, it's been a good summer, so this will be fun.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, no, really looking forward to chatting with you. I mean, I think as far as like New England players, you've been having, I would say, as good a season as any with some of your, your victories and some of the tournaments that you've been able to attend and compete in on the national level. And then, yeah, anytime being able to chat with someone about Maine golf is something I've been looking forward to. Yeah, again, you're my first guest for Maine, so really excited about that. But yeah, before we get into all that stuff, maybe we could get to know you a little bit better. So as far as like, where you're from in Maine, where you learned the game, when you really started to kind of realize that you were, a really sharp and, talented competitor. What's kind of your early story with the game of golf?
Yeah, so I grew up playing golf at a pretty young age. Like a lot of juniors, I grew up watching Tiger and Phil, but I loved watching Tiger, and he was probably part of why I started playing and why I loved playing. I would spend most of my summers kind of hitting some foam golf balls around the yard and just pretending to be playing against Tiger at like the Masters or the U.S. Open. And I just loved golf, and I loved being creative and kind of making my own holes. And so whenever I wasn't playing with my dad, I was kind of in the backyard and making holes, messing around, but having fun. And my dad was the one who really got me into golf. He he's casually played golf most of his life, and we're a big running family. I have a twin brother and a younger sister, and they both run in college. And then both my parents ran cross country and track in college. So he's been a lifelong runner, but he enjoys golf on the side. And he brought me out to just a local 9-hole track in Freeport Golf Club. And some of my best memories as a young kid were playing rounds with him. We'd go out after work, and it'd be like 6:30, 7 o'clock when we, tee off the first hole, and we'd be finishing the last couple holes in the dark around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And sometimes I think I remember being maybe a little frustrated that we'd finish in the dark a lot and I couldn't see the ball. But looking back on it, I think if anything, playing that many rounds in the dark, you kind of gain some feel as well, especially as a young kid. And it's fun to try and guess where you hit the ball and figure out where you hit it, and then finish the hole out. So I grew up playing with my dad, and pretty casually, he got me into some U.S. kids golf tournaments later on when I was 9, 10, 11 years old. But growing up through elementary school, middle school, I'm a super competitive person, so I loved lots of other sports. I played basketball, soccer, I skied. So I played a lot of sports, and golf was definitely uh, always kind of something that I enjoyed a little more than the rest of the sports I played, but I loved competing, so it's hard for me not to play those other sports, especially team sports like soccer, where you're out in the field and you got a bunch of teammates, all your friends are out there. So it was hard for me not to enjoy the competitive aspects of those other sports. But uh, once once I got into eighth grade and definitely going into my freshman year, I'm a member over at Brunswick Golf Club where Caleb Manuel's from, and he had a good college career. He played at UConn for 2 years, then went to Georgia and played in the U.S. Open. But I saw him practicing, and I saw a lot of other really good players practicing. My mom would drop me off in the mornings most summer days, and I just spend the entire day there practicing. And I was able to watch watch a lot of great players, and I saw how they practice, and I just kind of emulated what they were doing, and really enjoyed getting better. Going into my freshman year of high school, I was probably maybe a 3 or 4 handicap, but then shortly a year later, I was down to a scratch or maybe even a plus. So it was really going into my freshman year of high school where I actually started practicing and playing a lot more, and that's what got me into high school golf. But then as well as some U.S. Challenge Cups, and I would say that summer after my freshman year of high school is where I really started to make a jump into some really good playing really well in some nice tournaments. I came second in the New England Amateur or the New England Junior that summer, and actually lost to Will Lodge in the playoff. And then I played a U.S. Challenge Cup at Willow Bend and was able to qualify for the Junior Orange Bowl, which is a big tournament down in Florida. And I think from there, then I saw that it's like, wow, there's a lot more good golfers than just the main junior golfers I'm playing against. And I saw that there were certainly more levels to golf and a lot more better players than me. And I think it motivated me to um, try and be as good as I can.
Oh, very good, very good. Interesting. Yeah. So I haven't been following New England golf, I guess, closely enough over the last, say 5 to 6, 7 years. But I didn't realize you had lost to, or you were up against Will Lodge at the New England. We actually just talked with him, so that's kind of cool. That it's a small world, man. It's a small world for sure. Yeah, yeah. Excellent, excellent.
Yeah, the golf community in Maine and then also New England. I mean, we all kind of know each other, and at that time, I was just a young, small little kid, and I mean, that was his last event before college. He was going off to Yale, and I had no idea like the caliber of golfer he was. I was just had a good week and was playing well, and he beat me. He made a birdie on the third playoff hole, so it was a good playoff. And but yeah, he's a great guy, and it's been fun seeing him. I'll see him at college tournaments, amateur tournaments, and yeah, it's crazy how many people I know now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing that I mean, again, being new to this world kind of really this year with launching this effort, it's something that I've already kind of sensed just by being just kind of even like near the first tee is just like the community of New England golf and competitive golf here in this in these 6 states is like it's amazing how strong it is. It's like everybody just really seems to know each other. And it seems like everyone's kind of known each other for a while too, just again through like New England Junior and some other stuff. So it's pretty cool atmosphere always to see. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. And as far as like your main career, so I think certainly the big achievements for you, I would say, certainly being the back-to-back winners of the Maine Am and I think it was what 24 and 25. And then as far as like your junior career leading up to those victories, what was your record as like say in the Maine juniors and tournaments like that?
Yeah, I was definitely the best Maine junior in the state for probably a good 3 to 4 years. Really, from the point after my freshman year to then when I, graduated high school and leveled out of the junior tournaments. But I won three main juniors, two back to back, and then one year I played in the Northern Junior instead of the main junior, which I kind of regret a little bit because I could have won four in a row. But yeah, I had a strong main main golf career, at least so far. I came top five in the Maine Amateur before I won in 2024 for Budik, and then I won the 2025 Maine Amateur as well. And in 2024, I shot 14 under for two rounds in the main junior, and I think that's the lowest score to par ever in a main junior. So that was pretty cool. And but yeah, I mean, main golf is pretty small. You know, I for a while there, I was the best player, and I kind of knew it, and no one could really beat me. So it was fun to be the best, and obviously when you are the best, I think that helps with confidence a little bit when you go to other events. But at the same time, I would go to you come down to Massachusetts and you got 10 or 15 junior golfers who are all kind of close to my level and they're playing Division 1 golf. So it was definitely it was fun to be the best golfer, but then it was also I traveled and I'd play against so many other good golfers. It was kind of like, oh, okay, it's fun being the best in Maine, but there's a lot of other great players out there. And, I don't want to be the best in Maine. I want to be the best in New England or the best in Northeast or whatever it is.
Oh, very good. Excellent. And yeah, and it seems like Maine is producing a lot of like really solid talent these days. I mean, again, you mentioned Caleb Manuel, of course. I think it was kind of pretty cool to see Cole Anderson win on PJ Tour. I apologize to anyone listening that's a big fan of the circuit, but I always forget if it's PGA Tour Latin America or exactly how they pronounce it. So I apologize in advance for that. But kind of cool to see him win internationally this year. I think that was pretty exciting. And then of course you got like Mick Madden coming up. I mean, I think the state's just producing like a lot of solid players, and of course you're integral to that roster. So it's really cool to see like what's going on with Maine golf these days. Yeah, so kind of going into I would say like what you've been accomplishing so far this year, which again I think as far as New England competitors, you've been having one of the best seasons, if maybe not the best of the region. So you go back to back in 24 and 25 at the Maine Amateur. And then you recently just went back to back 25 and 26 for the New England Wide Amateur, which of course not only brings together the best of Maine, but also the best of the six states and the best of all the states in the region. Yeah, maybe this year I think was. I mean, one of the things that was interesting about this year, and I was curious, maybe just like your like on the ground thoughts of this. That the New England Amateur this week was the week where we had like all those crazy the wildfires coming down from Canada, and even where I live in northeastern Massachusetts, the skies were orange, the air quality was like really strange. So what was it like to like compete? Was it like the first 2 days of the tournament that was kind of like that? And what was that like playing in that kind of environment? Was it eerie at times?
Yeah, it was a little weird. The first day was okay. I played in the afternoon, but I remember the second day was very hazy, almost a bit like orangey, I guess. And it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I'd look around, and it's like, wait, it feels like it's 6 p. It feels like the sun's about to go down. Like it kind of gets that orangey, like hazy glow. To me, I mean, it doesn't really change the way I play or any playing conditions, but it's a little weird playing the whole day, and it doesn't really feel like it's 8 9 a.m. and it's like this does not feel like it's even in the morning. But I would say that the interesting thing over the 3 days for that tournament at Great Horse was that the first day, and I played really well. I went out and shot 8 under the first day, but there was a lot of humidity in the air the first day, so the greens were definitely a bit softer and a bit just a little bit slower. And then over the course of the next 2 days, the humidity kind of dissipated, the air dried out, and they were able to get the greens by the final day. Like the greens were very firm, very fast, considering what they were on the first day. So usually you don't see that in a tournament. I think they also wanted the course to play as hard as possible, so they were trying to get the greens firmer and faster. But usually you don't see the conditions change that much during a 3-day tournament. But I mean, other than that, it was pretty favorable conditions for the week, and obviously, Great Horses is an incredible track, and from the clubhouse to just some of the holes and the views. I mean, it's in pretty impeccable condition. So they did a great job getting the course in great shape, and I think overall it made a great New England Amateur. Sometimes I go a little bit back and forth, especially with the Maine Amateur, about we have so many old courses in New England that sometimes it does feel like the older kind of quirkier, shorter courses are what we should be playing most of these tournaments on, just because that's kind of what the golf is like around here. But it's really cool to play the New England Amateur on a course that's like a real championship golf course. I mean, they could host a U.S. Junior, a U.S. Amateur there if they really wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of Brian Silva's like modern masterpieces for sure. I mean, it's crazy. Like if you look on the scorecard, I think they can tip it out to almost, if not maybe even over 7,600 yards. I think. I mean, some of the carries on some of those bunker complexes get really interesting when you push it all the way back, and yeah, it really is pretty wild. It's like I was actually at Renaissance recently, which is another one of his, kind of in the Haverhill, Mass area, and it was interesting to kind of walk that place. And I had some familiarity with Great Horse before, and you can kind of see like some of the similarities that Silva has on both places. It's yeah, it's a wild track. And as far as like the tournament for you again, yeah, you mentioned that you went pretty low on the first day, so gave 64, I think, is what you shot. And then what was your experience like on the last day? Like what was it like to close out the tournament, and what was your round like?
Yeah, I felt pretty comfortable out there, but I know Caden Pacelli a bit, and so playing right alongside him, and then Joey as well, who I played with the first 2 rounds, playing alongside both those guys. I felt pretty comfortable, but they were both guys that they could go out and shoot 5, 6, 7 under par. So I felt like I still had to go out and be aggressive and make a bunch of birdies, and that's kind of what I did. I was a couple under, had a solid front nine, and then Caden really gave me a run for my money on the back nine. He birdied 10, 11, bogeyed 12, birdied 13, and then eagled 14 and birdied 15. So we were walking off the 15th hole. I had to make like a 8-foot kind of left to right slider on 15 to stay tied. I'm like, how did that even happen? Because I had a couple shot lead going into the back nine. But I think it kind of helps when you have a guy in your group who's playing so well and starts making a ton of birdies, because the only thing I could really do was try and match him and try and keep making birdies. And I birdied the 16th hole, which they had 15 and 16. It was kind of an interesting setup. 15 is usually about 125 yards, and it was playing 85 yards. And then 16 was probably one of the harder holes the first day. They had it playing back to like 450. And then when we played it, we were playing like essentially like the red tees from 285. So those 2 holes were playing drastically different. 16 playing way easier. And that was really nice too. I hit a little 3-wood just short of the green, was able to get that up and down, and had a 1-shot lead going into the last 2 holes. And I'd say it helps me. Like I'd been in that scenario before, last year in the New England Amateur, and then in the first Maine Amateur I won at Perpudic. That was really close down the stretch as well. So I'd been in that spot before, and I knew that 17 and 18 are not really the easiest of holes. So I was just kind of thinking like, you just got to go through your process, go through your routine, and try and hit the center of the green, two putt. If he finishes birdie birdie like and beats me, good for him. But at that point, you just kind of gotta stick to your game plan, go through your routine, and just don't make any dumb mistakes coming down the stretch. And he kind of struggled a little bit, bogeyed 17, bogeyed 18, and made it pretty easy for me to just finish and get the win.
Oh, excellent. That's great insights into that round. And I was actually doing some research yesterday before getting ready for this, and I think from what I've seen, I think you are now the first person to do back to back at the New England Amateur. I think since the early 2000s. I think the last time it was done, it was either 02 and 03 or 03 and 04. So it's been a long time. I think obviously since we've had back to back winners at the New England Amateur. So that's just such a fantastic achievement. And I was curious too, now that maybe you've had some time to maybe reflect on it, if you were to look back, say like at your first win last year at the New England Am versus this year, how do you stack the two together as far as like which win you feel might be a little bit more, of a substantial achievement? And would you say that this is like, how would you stack perhaps, your New England Am wins against some of your other accomplishments so far?
Yeah. I would say my win at Great Horse this year might be my best win in my career so far. There were a lot of good players at Great Horse, and I think Great Horse it's a great test of golf. It's a long course. It's tough, and they didn't set it up easy either. Some of the pins, especially the second round, were really difficult, and the final round was playing somewhat tough. So, I would say I just played really well the whole tournament. But I think to me, the win that means the most is the New England Amateur last year. That one probably means the most out of any of the tournaments I've won, because I was 6 shots back going into the final round, and to be honest, I didn't really think I could win. I knew I could play well, and I knew there was a low score out there, but I just didn't really think I could win. I thought the course was playing pretty easy, and Harry Dessel, he was 12 under through the first two rounds, and I was thinking he was probably going to get to 15 or 16 under par. So I thought I had to shoot lower than 8 under par. But I think for me, it was, after I won and after I played so well that final round, it kind of opened some doors, or it made me realize that I can go out, I can come from behind, and I can go out and play a really good round, even where a lot of people think they might not have a chance to win, or when when the odds aren't in your favor, and I can come out and play really well and get a win, and come back from behind. So I think for me that really helped going forward to show me that I can come back from behind and win, and know that even when I am behind in a tournament, people shouldn't be counting me out. So I think that one was very special to me, and it meant a lot to do something that I didn't even really expect myself to do, and now going forward, I think it just helps with from a confidence standpoint. Whenever I am a little behind in a tournament, I know I can do it, and I know I can finish strong.
Very good. Awesome. Well, congratulations again. I mean, to go back to back amongst the best, and the field up against the best of the 6 states here in our region, and to do it in such a great fashion that you did, and first person to do it again in over 20 years. It's just marvelous accomplishment. So really well done, man. Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah. And so I'd love to maybe now pivot to the rest of the year, which, there's a very small event that you participated in. Just kidding. Of course, it was a huge event. But leading up into that, you also had some appearances and an additional victory at two pretty cool events. So you were able to participate, of course, this year at the Northeast Amateur at Wannamoisett, amongst another great crew of New England folks, winners of state AMs and folks like that. And then you also had your victory at the Philadelphia Amateur that you mentioned as well, which that was played at, what was it, Saucon Valley, I think is where that was held?
It was at Sunnybrook.
Oh, Sunnybrook. Okay, gotcha.
It's at Saucon Valley next year.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
that's where I got mixed up then.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So I mean, and then of course you had your U.S. Amateur appearance, which we'll dive into in a little bit. But yeah, I'd love maybe just some quick words, maybe just on your thoughts on this year's Northeast Amateur. I wasn't sure if you'd ever participated in that before, but for anyone that's listening that isn't aware, it's at Wannamoisett in Rhode Island every year. Certainly brings together an amazing field. You had, Tyler Watts, Jay Lang Jr., who just had, of course, the huge run that he had in the Western Am and some other events. The US Am, obviously, this year he made it to the final. And then, again, the Philadelphia Amateur. What were your experiences like in those two events this year? What were your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, the Northeast Amateur, that was my first year playing this year. And I hadn't played Wannamoisett much either, so I didn't know much about the course. Obviously, it's probably one of the best, if not the best, Donald Ross in New England. And I love Donald Ross courses, so for me, it was just a joy to play because I think Donald Ross is one of the best architects in golf history. So it was a really fun course to play. But I mean, the tournament's exceptional. The quality of the field, they get some of the best amateurs, not even from the country, but from the world. So it's a really high level tournament. And I wouldn't say I played exactly how I wanted to. I think I felt pretty comfortable out there for the most part. The first round, I was a little jittery, maybe didn't quite play how I wanted to. But the second round, I went out and shot 66. I think for me, I'm excited to go back next year because looking back, I wish I had prepared a little better. And some of the places where they the greens at Wannamoisett are mostly all square greens and they have a lot of slopes and ridges. And for the most part, they put the pins either in the corners or right in front of ridges or right beyond ridges. And I think part of it is just getting comfortable to hitting to pins that are tucked in the corners. Because visually, most of the tournaments that I play over the summer, you're just not used to seeing a pin that's looks like it's right on the edge of the green. And obviously, it's a tough pin, but there is space there. And I think visually for next year, it's just getting comfortable because it's a lot of wedges. One of them was that you really can attack it and you can make a lot of birdies. But it's just visually getting comfortable with some of the pins being in the places that they are and knowing that sometimes you do have to aim 15 or 20 feet left of a pin and take your 15 footer rather than going at the pin. Or I had a couple where, I went at a pin on the edge of the green and missed my mark a little bit. And all of a sudden, you might only be 12 feet away, but you're in the rough chipping. So I think part of it was just getting used to that. But I mean, Wannamoisett, the Northeast Amateur and Wannamoisett, it's a great course and it's a great event. So all in all, it was a great experience and just excited to go back next year.
Excellent. Yeah, it was great to see such a huge New England contingent there, and I think to have a New England contingent there is so important, especially again as you mentioned, with Wannamoisett being again on the upper echelon of Ross designs and such a special course for the region, an event. I think a special event for the region too. I mean, I think when we basically like we have the TPC River Highlands event, the Travelers in Connecticut, and we also have the LPGA Tour coming back to TPC Boston again. But I feel like we're missing a lot of like more significant amounts of high caliber tournaments in our region of the country. And I think to have the Northeast Amateur there every year, I think, and from where I stand, I think it's the best event that's in New England every single year. And so that's great to see that you and a bunch of other New England guys are always managing to make your way there. So it's just awesome. And yeah, so I guess now pivoting to the Philly area, you had certainly a busy summer in Philly. And ahead of the U.S. Amateur, you played in the Philadelphia Amateur, which you won, which is just incredible. So yeah, maybe what were your experiences like that, and how did you feel like that helped you get to know the Philly area going into the U.S. Amateur?
Yeah, I mean, playing in the Philly Amateur was really cool. Going going into the summer, I go to school at Loyola, and a lot of my teammates and my coach, who's a good player, they'll they'll play in some of the GAP stuff, Golf Association of Philly. They'll play in a lot of those tournaments. They play at really good courses, and there's just a lot of good competition up there. And my I talked to my coach, and they have a exemption into the tournament where if you played in the U.S. Amateur the last year, you get exempt into the event. So I didn't have to qualify or do anything like that for the tournament, and I wanted to just play in another tournament in the summer and kind of at the least just get some more tournament rounds under my belt as I headed into like the Northeast Am, the Maine Am, and I didn't really have a lot of expectations. I actually the the stroke play qualifying is 36 holes in one day, and it's at two different courses. So you essentially you finish your morning round at the one course, and then you drive over to the next course, to the other course, which is like 15 minutes away, and then you tee off about 15 minutes after you arrive. So um, it's a pretty interesting, like that's a long day. It's a pretty interesting format too. Um, but I think it kind of helped. Like I went out the first round. It was pretty windy, and I shot four over at Sunnybrook with no birdies. I think it was one of the first birdie-less tournament rounds I've had in over a year, over 2 years, or maybe even more than that. But I think I was like, you know what? Like, this is just kind of a fun event. I'm here. I'm happy to be here. And I went over to the other course, and I was swinging it pretty well. The other course, 1912 golf club. And actually, I wasn't able to play Sunnybrook, but I was able to walk. I walked 1912, and one of my friends, Tommy Murdo, he plays on the Temple golf team, and that's where they play. He's from Massachusetts, so he was giving me some advice, just how to play some of the holes, and a lot of the greens there are really small, and you kind of need to almost like bounce a lot of shots into the green. It's a very interesting kind of quirky course, but I went out, and I don't know what the kind of like the switch was between the first round and the second round, but I got on. I played the first five or six holes pretty well, and then I think I birdied seven, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then I parred 10, I doubled 11, and then I birdied 12 and 13. So I went on a nice little stretch there, even with that double on 11. And then from there, I think I was three or four under, standing on like 15 T. And that was like, okay, like I kind of just need to just make some good pars coming in. And I did. And then got the 11th seed. 11 happens to be my favorite number. So I was like, oh, that's good luck, if anything. And then I just went on to win. But I I didn't realize quite how many good golfers, I guess, were in that tournament. On my way to the final, I played against a couple of really good golfers. One of them, Troy Vanucci, who he's come in second in the New Jersey Amateur the last 2 years, and he gave me a really good run for my money. And took me to 18, and I made par, he made bogey, and I won one up. So there were some really good matches, and I thoroughly enjoyed playing match play too. So it was a great experience, and cool to win a tournament that wasn't in New England as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure if you talk to like anyone in the industry, Philadelphia is certainly one of the meccas of golf, I'd say, in the U.S. I mean, you look at all the things around Philly, Ronimink, Pine Valley, Marion, of course, Country Club of Philadelphia, all these just exceptional places with such a strong competitive pedigree. It sounds, yeah, I mean, as far as courses go, it's certainly one of the meccas here in the U.S. And then I would say certainly to win a big event like you did down there, coming from New England, and is definitely an awesome achievement. So that's awesome, man. Again, congratulations on that. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. And so staying in the Philadelphia region, speaking of which, you were able to punch your ticket this year to the U.S. Amateur through the qualifier, I believe, at Boston Golf Club, which again is such an awesome place. I wasn't able to attend that one, unfortunately, but that's a course that's certainly on my radar to go see if I can check out one of these days. But yeah, so you managed to qualify your way in, which is fantastic. And I guess leading into the U.S. Amateur, what were your experiences leading in thus far in your career with the big USGA events? Like, had you played in the USAM or the US Junior before?
Yeah, so I played in the previous two U.S. amateurs, the one at Hazeltine and then the one at Olympic. Neither of which I played that well in, and it was just pretty frustrating for me because I think the past couple of years, I mean, I was coming off, I'd won the Maine Am both years, and that's what got me in. And I had two pretty good summers, but I went into those tournaments, and I think I maybe just set my expectations too high, or it's tough going into such a big tournament. You see so many good players, and I think it's easy to look around more than kind of focus on your game and focus on what you need to do to play your best golf during the week. So um, I guess you live and you learn. I wish I could still go back to Hazeltine Olympic and redo those because I feel like I could have made match play or could have been pretty close or at least played better. But you have to have those experiences to get better. And this year at Marion, I played really well. I brought a lot of game. I hit the ball really well. I felt like I did the right things preparing for it. And unfortunately, uh, I was in a pretty good place going into the last five holes. I birdied the 13th hole at Marion, and I was one over going into the last five, and just I definitely felt the pressure. I knew I was right on the cut line. I hadn't been looking at the leaderboard, but I really wanted to do well, and just made a couple. I'm not even gonna say lazy bogeys, but a couple easy bogeys, which is can happen out at Marion, and I had two lip outs coming down the stretch, and I left one putt, the putt on 16. I had a nice look at birdie and left that about an inch short dead center. So I think it was kind of also just a reflection of my week. Usually putting's my strong suit, and but I hit the ball. I was so happy with how I hit the ball. I hit pretty much every fairway. I was driving it really well. I hit my long irons really well, so I hit a lot of fairways and greens, and I putted decent. I putted good enough to make the cut. But I think if I'd had a really solid putting week, I certainly could have made the cut into match play, and I think I could have gone pretty far. But the most important thing I learned this year too is that I think looking around this year and being around some of the best players, I felt like I was just as capable as they were, and felt like I had just as good of a chance to win as they did. And I think the previous years, I played practice rounds with Miles Russell. I'd played practice rounds with at Hazeltine. I played with Jose Le Ballester, who went on to win. And previously, I think I just saw those guys on a completely different level. Which, granted, they were certainly better players than I was, but this year I really feel like I was one of the best players there, and certainly could have competed with any of those guys had it come to match play. So I think again, going into next year, hopefully I'm back at Oak Hill and can make match play and uh, you know make a nice run. And you never know, maybe I'll be in the final next year. But that was good for me just to be there this year and really feel like I belonged on that stage and I was one of the best players there.
Oh, certainly. I mean, even making it is such a tremendous achievement, and yeah, I think it's I can't even imagine like what it's like to play, not only just in the environment of like again you mentioned Miles Russell, of course Tyler Watts, all the best in the world. It must be such a surreal feeling to be on that stage, and a place like Marion too. I mean, I would have to think that in the world of U.S. Competitive golf. If you ever want a chance to win something really big, Marion's got to be one of the stages I would imagine you would love to be able to do it at. So I was curious, like your opinions on Marion Golf Club. I mean, I think we could spend like another hour going through just even the golf course of Marion. And you mentioned like the closing stretch. I mean, that closing stretch at Marion is just so extraordinary. I mean, you've got the quarry hole, the 18th. I think is a hole that certainly speaks for itself in history these days. I mean, the 17th, that par three just looks so hard with that green and the length of it. And then was it the 14th and the 15th, I think. I mean, you've got that super tight out of bounds, I think, on the left side, certainly of, was it 15? And then the rough just looks just incredible there. I mean, I can't even imagine trying to punch something out of it. But when you look at like a place like Marion, you know, I think a lot of people are aware that it's not the longest golf course these days, but I think with the architecture, the greens, and some of the lines and angles that it kind of forces you to take is certainly still, at least from where I sit, a pretty fascinating and great test of golf. What was like the ways that you felt like you had to maybe tailor your game or think about just like how to play like a place that's routed like Marion a little bit differently with just the way it's set up. Again, of course you only have the two par fives that are on the front as well, so it's just such a marathon of the hard par fours and threes coming in for most of the round. What was like? Did you have to figure like different tee strategies? Like what was the main way that you felt like you had to attack the golf course of Marion?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for me the main thing was hitting fairways and hitting greens. I mean, that sounds really simple, but that's the one thing you really have to do at these US amateurs. When you start missing fairways, bad things are bound to happen. Pretty much whenever you miss a fairway at Marion, especially, you're all of a sudden scrambling for par, and any thought of a birdie becomes quickly out of the picture. So for me, it was mostly just focusing on hitting fairways and hitting greens. And um, Marion, unlike other USAM courses, you actually have a decent amount of wedges on the shorter holes in the middle of the course. So on those holes, it was just emphasizing hitting to a number I liked, hitting to a full swing. I think on some of those holes, it's pretty easy to feel like you have to push it up to maybe more like 70 or 80 yards. But with the firmness of the greens and the speed of the greens, on a lot of cases, at least for me, it was easier to be back more around 100 or 110 yards where I could hit it higher with a little more spin. That was kind of my strategy on some of the shorter holes, was maybe laying back just a hair further than most people and coming in higher with a full wedge and making sure I had a full swing. And then the par threes are really tough. Besides the 13th hole, 13 is just a little wedge. But
Yeah.
besides that hole, par threes are really tough. And whenever I stand on a tough par three, I think the most important thing for me, I want to have, make a full swing. I don't want to feel like I have to like chip a little 4-iron, say, or like take something off a club. I just want to have to make a full swing. So usually I'll just pick the club that whatever club I can make a full swing with that will get to roughly the middle of the green. The greens are big, but my thinking is always like, if you can just hit the middle of the green, you can pretty much putt to any pin on the green. So um, I think the most important thing on those holes is just to hit the middle, and then once you get up there, try and make a good two putt if you have a long putt, or maybe you're pretty close. So that was my main strategy. But the most important part is really being super committed to your lines off the tees. The fairways are meant to be a little like visually deceiving, and also um, meant to kind of make you feel uncomfortable. There are a lot of fairways where the areas where you're supposed to hit it, where you want to hit it, are narrowed down from like 50 yards to then like 20 yards. So there are the areas where it makes the most sense to hit the ball that say might leave you, say on 15, might leave you a wedge. Like it really pinches down tight between the bunkers on the right and the OB left. Same with 14 as well. Like you have the left fairway bunker, and you only have 20 yards between the first fairway bunker on the left and then the fairway bunker through the fairway. So there are some places where the fairway is really pinched down, and you have to be super committed to the club you want to hit, because um, the course is designed to pretty much test the whole bag. It's not one of those courses where it's just you can kind of just close your eyes and hit driver. You have to be really precise off the tee, especially on the holes that are a little shorter, because they like I said, they pinch down, they make you uncomfortable, and you really have to pick a small target and try and hit it.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, I think the two holes that I think about the most, as far as like certainly from that kind of viewpoint off the tee, is 14 and 15, where 14, I believe it goes up into the left, but the fairway kind of snakes its way, and it seems like it just gets narrower and narrower as you get up to the green. I mean, if just I can't even imagine like what I would do standing on that tee, just trying to figure out like where I'd want the ball to land. And then I feel like 15. I mean, that out of bounds just is like razor thin. Like there's just no margin on the left. If you go like through the fairway, it just seems like you're out of bounds automatically if you go through the fairway on that hole. So it's interesting to see like people try to figure out exactly where to take their lines on that, and certainly playing away from that out of bounds, because it's amazing how it's just like right there. I mean, it looks like there's just nothing beyond the fairway to the out of bounds. Um, so I guess I was curious, like, now that you've had the wonderful honor of being able to play it and play at the tournament there, were there any holes for you that you walked away from, like from a design standpoint, or ones that you just, enjoyed playing the most? Were there any holes at Marion that really stuck out to you the most when you walked away?
I mean, this is gonna be a pretty general answer, but I'd say 16 for me. It's probably my favorite hole in the course. Mostly just because it it's such a good hole, and but it's really unique. I think the the little quarry in the middle that you have to hit over and walk through, that makes the shot tough, because it kind of limits your vision from the green a little bit, and a perfect shot down the center of the fairway, and you have a clear shot to the green. But if you miss it a little right, or in the rough to the right, that then the green's blocked from your vision. So it rewards a good shot off the tee, and then the greens complex is super cool. It's got a big ridge in the front, and then um, a a kind of flat spot on the back. So I'd say 16 is probably my favorite hole in the course. I've just It's such a unique hole. I've never really played anything remotely close to it. But there are a lot of great holes at Marion. I'd say you could make a case um, that pretty much any one of them could be your favorite hole in the course, and it's one of the most, if not the most complete course I've ever played. I think um, you'll play a lot of good courses, even in the top 100 nowadays, that have maybe 15 or 16 great holes, but there are a couple holes that um, might not be considered great holes. And I think Marion's one of those courses where there really isn't a bad hole out there. It's super well designed and well thought out, and that's what makes it not only a championship course, but also one of the best in the world.
No, certainly. I would completely agree with that. I think I think the collection of par threes that they have there is really quite extraordinary. I mean, the two on the front are just absolutely brutal. That, you know, it's I always love watching, like, for example, like the ninth hole when they put the pin like all the way over to the left. It's kind of like, I think, like a boomerang ish green. And then I think 17, at least for me, is one of the world's best par threes. I'm just always amazed at, you know, what you have to hit over. I think you've got like the elevated tee where you like kind of walk down the stairs to the green, and then the green itself is just it's just unbelievable architecture. So it's, yeah, no, what an experience to be able to play there. That's so great. And I got maybe two last quick questions on the USAM for you. So I think what some people might not realize is that even though you've got the main stage course for like the match play and obviously a lot of the stroke play, there's also usually, or I guess not usually, there's always a second course that kind of, you know, is the co-host for the stroke play, and this year was at Philadelphia. So yeah, maybe just and again, I think usually we don't necessarily get to see, like, I don't know if we ever get to actually see the other course a lot on TV as, you know, spectators at home. What were your thoughts on Philadelphia as the co-host?
Philadelphia Country Club overall was definitely my favorite of the co-host courses. It's another Marion's partly William Flynn, and there are a lot of William Flynn courses around there. Philadelphia Country Club is one of those, and they had just done a course renovation a couple years ago, and the conditions were, to be honest, almost just as good as Marion. The greens were a little slow, which for me, I felt like I could have easily shot a couple under par out there. But I played the practice round at Marion the day before, which was Sunday, and then Monday was at Philly, and a lot of putts short just because Marion's greens are a lot faster. But no, Philadelphia Country Club was great. It's way longer than Marion. It was closer to 7,300 yards, but it's a lot of drivers. You can pretty much take driver out on every par four and par five, but there's still some par threes out there are really good. Just like Marion, they're all pretty much 5 or 6 irons, or one hole that's, you know, playing about 235 the 15th hole. So there were some really good holes, and to be honest, it probably isn't that much easier of a course than Marion. I thought maybe a little easier. The fairways are pretty generous out there, but it was a great track, really fun to play, and I think it made the whole experience of the USAM better too, because when you're playing, obviously people hear US Amateur, Marion, but you still play 2 rounds at another course. So when that other course is as good as Philadelphia Country Club was, it really makes the USAM just an incredible experience and one of a kind, something they'll never forget.
Oh, very good. Oh, awesome. And I think that's great that you're able to kind of dive into Philadelphia Country Club a bit just now. Because again, I thought it was almost kind of a shame this year that we didn't get to see, you know, the co-host. And I don't think we usually do. But like, for example, like I think last year at Olympic, I think it was like both the ocean and the lake that hosted the event. And I think we're so familiar, like, for example, with the lake course, given its US Open pedigree and some other things, but it would have been nice, like, for example, to see a bit more of the ocean course. And I think certainly, again, as you mentioned, Philadelphia Country Club being one of Flynn's designs, that would have been pretty neat to see. So I'm hoping the USGA gives us a glimpse more into the co-hosts going forward, because I think they certainly deserve it also. So that's great. And the last thing I was curious for the USAM. You know, you weren't actually the only Maine resident down there. You also had Mick Madden down there with you, the winner of the Maine Amateur this year. Just curious, like, you know, I'm not sure how well you guys know each other. I'm sure, obviously, he's like, you know, a very strong up and coming player in the Maine golf scene. Winning the Maine Amateur this year, and I think he's got obviously a very impressive junior Maine career as well. But was that something that you you know, valued, having like another, you know, co Maine state resident there? And do you know Mick pretty well? Like, how do you guys get along, or not get along?
So
like, you guys know each other pretty well?
So I think this was the second time ever we've had two Mainers in the USAM. Uh, the first time happened a couple of years ago at Pebble Beach. We had two Mainers. But I know Mick really well. We're close friends. He's probably he's probably the person I play and practice with the most out of anyone in the state of Maine. I work over at Woodlands Golf Club a little bit. I've worked there for a while, and that's where he's a member. So we practice and play with each other so much. So for one, I was happy to see him win the Maine Am. Obviously, I wanted to beat him, and that was his first time beating me in an actual tournament. But no, I mean we played a practice round together, and I was trying to be there for him too, just because that was his first U.S. Amateur, and I talked to him a little bit about what I'd learned my last two USAMs at Hazeltine and Olympic, because it's just such a different experience than what what uh what you're kind of what you're used to in like a regular tournament. You go to USAM and it's just like, wow, this is different. So I was did my best to kind of help get him prepared and help make him feel comfortable out there, because part of it is just being comfortable when you're at such a big tournament. But it was really cool. I mean, it's something that might not happen again for a while, having two Mainers in a USAM. I mean, I hope it does, but you never really know. It's so hard to qualify for the USAM anyway. So you kind of never know how things are going to shake out. But yeah, it was really cool being there with him, especially because we're so close friends. So it made the experience even better.
Excellent. No, I thought that I think from the New England perspective, I think having two of you guys from Maine this year was one of the best parts about the New England contingent there. I think it was just awesome to see, two of you guys there. And I mean, Mick, I mean, he just shined at the Maine Amateur this year. It was really impressive to see him, shoot the 8 under for the 3 days, and not an easy golf course too. So I actually went and played Sanford Country Club in May to kind of understand the golf course. And I've been pretty familiar with like that area of Maine golf. Links at Outlook is a place I play quite regularly. I've been fortunate enough to play Cape Arundel as well, and I wasn't really familiar with Sanford, and it was what a golf course. I mean, some of the holes on the front nine in particular, I think just were just unbelievable. I think I think that sixth hole where you plunge down the hill on the tee shot, and then you've got the giant elevated approach, and then you've almost got like I don't think it's like technically like a full island fairway, but the island fairway on the seventh also to an elevated approach. And then, God, the way the ninth hole just like slants and roller coasters up the hill. I mean, what a golf course. What were your impressions on Sanford? Had you played it before?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty interesting golf course. It tests the bag really well. You got to step up and hit some really good shots. There are some tight holes, and the interesting thing out there is the par fives. There are a couple par fives, especially like 12. 12 is a really easy birdie, but you got to hit a good tee shot. And I was in the trees chipping out 2 to 3 days. So it's an interesting course in that, right? Where if you can like one tee shot, like say I hit the fairway on 12 all 3 days, I could be three more under par, just because it's pretty much a wedge in. But if you miss the fairway, you're chipping out of the trees. So there are some interesting holes like that where you do have to step up and hit a really good tee shot, and then if you do, you're going to be rewarded with a birdie or eagle. So it's interesting in that right, test the game, test the bag pretty well, and again, you do have to step up to tee shots and be really committed.
Yeah, it definitely has some quirk to it. I mean, I'm struggling to come up with a harder dog leg that I've seen than the first par five on the front. I think it's the fourth hole, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally like a like a 90-degree angle. It's such a crazy golf hole. And then I thought the next par five was pretty nice, just a nice, beautiful, up the hill to the right. And I was curious too. I don't think they had when I was playing there, I don't think they had the back tee functional in the 12th, but were they able to open up 12 to its maximum length, or how did the 12th play?
No, so 12 played at like 485. They
Okay.
used to have the back tee there, but I think they've kind of let it go because it was pretty tall grass. But it played 485, but that's the hole where you gotta hit the fairway because you got trees left, trees right. And if you do, it's a wedge or an 9 iron into the green. But yeah, no, it's a fun course. There are some short holes. Like the next hole is a 110-yard par three. So there were plenty of birdies out there. I just didn't play the way I wanted to, but it was fun playing with Nick the first 2 days, and obviously super happy for him to play well and kind of break through, I guess, a little bit for sure. So it was great.
Yeah. No, I think it's gonna be great to see, him. I think he's starting his first year at Siena, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yep.
yeah, it'll be great to see like how he kind of takes the mantle of Maine golf going forward. Because it seems like he just has such an exceptional level of talent, and I think it's just been awesome to see like how well you guys have been doing for Maine, the last couple of years. I mean, like yourself, Mick. I mentioned earlier Cole Anderson, going out and winning on the Latin America tour for PGA. It's been awesome to see. And then I think it's just you've got the legacy of folks like Mark Plummer, who I think he's won. I don't even know how many Maine State AMs, but I think he ended up. Did he face Tiger in the '95 AM? Was he like the last guy before Tiger
Semifinals.
went on the
Yep.
semifinals? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So
Semifinals. Yeah.
yeah. So it's awesome to see you guys
It's pretty
continue on
cool.
like the
Yeah.
legacies of guys like him. And yeah, Maine's just got such an awesome, cool golf history. I guess the last closing thing is, what are your thoughts on like what makes Maine golf so special and why people, because I don't necessarily think that people think of it as a place to come and play golf, but I mean, I think you've got just such variety, some cool history. What are maybe some of your closing thoughts on what makes the state of Maine so great for golf?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't realize, but I think still 90% of Maine is just like pure trees and just forests. So we don't have a ton of houses. And I'd say what makes Maine golf great is that most courses you play, even whether it's public or private, they're all kind of in the trees or within nature. Like you don't have a lot of houses everywhere. Um, Usually there's not a ton of OB. So wherever you play, I feel like there are some incredible properties that courses are on, whether public or private. And we just have so much variety too. We have some great mountain golf courses. There are some great 18-hole courses that are challenging, that are hard. Falmouth Country Club, they hosted a Corn Ferry Tour event for a couple of years. And then we have some really old courses like Kibo Valley, which is 1888, I think, and one of the oldest courses in the country. So we have a lot of really good history, and then the other thing I'd say is just the overall variety of where courses are. Um, there's courses up in northern Maine. There's one course, Aroostook Valley, which 9 holes are in Maine and 9 holes are in Canada. I've never played there, but it's on my list. So we have so much variety, and there's so many unique courses that it can be really fun. And there are a lot of hidden gems that no one knows about. There are a lot of really cool 9 hole tracks, especially up in down East Maine. You got 9 hole courses like Blank Bonnie, Grindstone Neck, all courses that are literally right in the ocean, and you can pay $15 to play as many holes as you want for the entire day. So there's some really cool hidden gems that really no one knows about, but are really fun and cool tracks, and you don't really get that at too many states anymore. So it's really neat.
Excellent. No, well said. And I'm from New Hampshire. I live in Mass, but I think for me, personally, Maine to me has always been the crown jewel of New England. I think with just the vast seacoast, the amount of variety of places you can visit. And I think, yeah, I would say I agree. The golf scene that you have there is so reflective, I think, of all that Maine has to offer. So it's just an awesome place. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Well, Eli, this has been, such an awesome conversation. And I know you got, so much going on. You got your college season, of course, that's starting pretty much, I think this week you're going back. So I think to have you take the time to speak with me today and just kind of relive just such an incredible year that you've had and some of your other accomplishments, really can't thank you enough for the conversation. It's really been awesome. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck in your college season ahead. And again, congratulations on all you've achieved this year. Well done.
Thanks, Matt. Great talking with you, and thanks for having me on today.
Very good. All right, Eli, take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.